Welcome back to this Money Control live stream. We're watching Closing Bell with me, Nandita Khemka, and my colleague.
Hello there, I'm Yatin Mota.
Well, what a yo-yo session it was for the
Hmm.
market, a roller coaster ride, so to say. We started the day on the back foot, 200-point cut on the Nifty. Then around midday, 11:30 or so, we saw a very sharp recovery coming
Yes.
in when the market's benchmark, so to say, broke into the green. But once again, they flipped, and in the second half, we saw the Nifty
Selling,
coming
yeah.
down by 200 to 50 points. But finally, we managed to defend that 24,800 mark on the lower side. 24,750, 800 is a crucial support zone for the index, as is being pointed out by technical analysts as well. But what stood out on such a roller coaster day was the performance by the broader end of the markets. The mid cap index managed to end the day in the green, 0.2% kind of a gain on the Nifty mid cap index, outperformance coming in there. Small cap index as well managed to shut shop in the green. Even the advanced decline ratio on the NSE was largely 1:1, but skewed in favor of declines, mildly so. So even Stevens almost when it comes to the NSE advanced decline ratio or the market breadth as well. In terms of sectors, yesterday's gainers were among laggards today. So autos, IT were on the back foot, but there was some bit of buying that emerged in pharma, PSU banks, and even the realty index managed to hold out. In terms of the individual movers, then on the index, Financial, that was the top Nifty gainer. The Geo BlackRock Asset Management has received a SEBI nod for mutual funds business, which is why the stock was the top Nifty gainer. I think it rallied somewhere around 3.5% or thereabouts. Other gainers
Hmm.
included the likes of IndusInd Bank, Trent, Sun Pharma, Adani Ports. You also had Nestle India, BEL as well. The stock had hit a record high last week. Today, among the gainers, Dr. Reddy's, SBI Life, these were some of the other gainers. On the flip side, on the laggards list, we had Ultratech Cement. That was the top Nifty loser. ITC, JSW Steel, Tata Motors that gained yesterday, once again in the red. Axis Bank, Grasim, NTPC, these were some of the other laggards on the index. But Yatin,
Hmm.
result reactions continue to
Yeah.
dominate, right, when it comes to the broader end of the markets.
Yes.
For instance, we saw rate gain that was down almost 10%.
Hmm.
You also had other movers. Take us through them.
So, if you look at the markets today, obviously weak, but the mid cap indices were holding up. Both small cap and mid cap index were trading with gains. Importantly, the advanced decline ratio was also 1:1. So, despite the market weakness, the mid caps continue to outperform. Today, we had stocks like Bayer Crop reacting to numbers, went up 10%. Power India, GTND, Glaxo were the other stocks which are still reacting to numbers positively, 4 to 5% gains, coming in. What was not doing well is Electra, and we'll talk about this stock in detail, was one of the top losers on the Nifty 500, down 6.5%, went down 14% intraday. First Cry, Blue Dart, obviously down 5% after weak numbers. And we had Sagility after the OFS, the stock was down 5%, locked in lower circuit because the promoters intended to sell nearly 15% stake via the offer for sale route. What was also not doing well is Eternal, that continues to be weak post block deal. We have Indigo, which continued to remain weak, but stocks like BDL, APL Apollo, and CCL Products, these are the stocks which continue to trade at multi-year highs, and almost 4-5% gains coming in for these stocks in the last 1 or 2 trading sessions.
Hmm. That's true, lots of result reactions, but last leg of the earnings season, we also have news-based stocks. Indigo being one of
Hmm.
them, and that's the stock that is on my list this afternoon. The stock was down 2% or so. The stock has been listless, in recent times, especially in the last 1 month, ever since the Pakistan airspace was closed for Indian aviation.
Hmm.
But this time around, right now, of course, the stock is in news given the fact that co-founder Rakesh Gangwal has once again sold stake, another 5.7% stake sale, via block deals, and large chunk sold by the Gangwal family since 2022 via block deals. Now, earlier, they were planning to sell 3.4% stake, but this morning,
Hmm.
of course, that stake sale was bumped up. Earlier, they were planning to raise 6,800 crores, but they upsized it to 5.7%, and that, of course, fetched somewhere around 11,900 crore rupees or thereabouts. Now, Post the stake sale, the recent stake sale, the Gangwal family's stake or holding will come down to less than 8% in the carrier. Now, the total fundraise that the Gangwal family has done via the stake sale over a period of time since 2022 has fetched them nearly 40,000 crore rupees. The first stake sale, the first major stake sale happened in 2022 September. Since then, of course, the Gangwal family has regularly and systematically sold a stake after the expiry of 180-day lock-in periods. So the first one I think happened, of course, as I mentioned, in September 2022. Then after the 6-month lock-in period, it happened in February
Mm.
2023, then again August 2023, followed by March 2024. But the first five-digit block deal in Indigo, took place in August 2024 when the Gangwal family sold 6% stake, and that fetched the family around 10,700 crore rupees. Today's transaction, as I mentioned, almost 12,000 crore rupees. So all in all, uh, 40,000 crore rupees almost raised, and now they have 7.8% stake, which at the current valuation stands at the current market cap stands
Mm.
at 16,000 crore rupees. So
Absolutely.
they can raise another 16,000 crore rupees. That will be in excess of 50,000 crore rupees. So that's the kind of wealth
And
that it has
yes, and I
generated.
think
Uh,
the question usually when you make crores,
hmm.
Amitabh Bachchan asks is kya karoge is dhanrashi ka. So we need to ask Mr. Gangwal and his family members that what will you do with this 50,000 crores? Are you planning to open another airline? Will you
They
invest
can
this
definitely buy out
proceeds,
another one for
or
sure.
what is this 50,000 crore plan? But yes, as you were
Hmm.
mentioning,
Hmm.
that in excess of 50,000 crores is what
Hmm.
Gangwal family will take home after selling their stake in Indigo.
Yeah, and when Rakesh Gangwal stepped down from the board, he had already stated his
Yes,
intention of,
yes,
reducing or exiting his stake from Indigo. But very interesting point that even though there was overhang of these stake sales over the years,
shares
since
have gone up.
2022, the
Yeah,
shares have rallied 85%, and it has, of course, amassed so much wealth for the Gangwal family.
great.
And going forward as well, just 8% left, right? And even that, if it happens after 6 months, I don't think that will be such a big overhang
Hmm.
for the stock, so to say, because it has digested and weathered all the other challenges that came with competition. Then there was high crude prices.
True.
Now the Pakistan airspace closure, wherein the CEO has said that the impact won't be that much; it will
Hmm.
be limited,
Hmm.
and numbers have also been pretty good for the company. So yes, I mean, it looks like, of course, it is around that 52-week high any which ways, not very far from it. So looks like it will be a smooth ride here on as
Hmm.
well for Indigo.
Yes, and moving from Indigo to from aviation to buses, and the Transport Ministry of Maharashtra and the Transport Minister has raised serious concerns with regarding the electric vehicle order that it placed with Electra Green Tech. Now, remember this Hyderabad-based company Electra Green Tech had an order from the Maharashtra government to supply over 5,000 electric buses worth more than 10,000 crores. Now, after this order win, obviously the shares of Electra doubled. Post non-delivery of these buses, the shares obviously corrected 40% from the peak recently. But the transport minister on social media said, without taking name of the company, that he would cancel the 5,000 plus buses order from given to Electra Green Tech, and he's asked his department to do the needful. Obviously, when it comes to the first 1,000 buses, they were supposed to get supplied by May of 2022. No bus was delivered during this period. So despite extending the deadline to May 22nd, Electra has failed to deliver any kind of buses. Obviously the company has not made any official statement, but if you look at the consortium of Electra, they won this 5,150 buses order from Maharashtra government in July 2023, and the order, as I mentioned earlier, was for more than 10,000 crores, which obviously was also regarding the maintenance of these buses. Obviously, every buses that was supposed to get manufactured was supposed to get delivered to the Maharashtra State Department, the transport division, but that never happened. Stock gap down with a 14% downtick. However, managed to recover intraday with losses of only 6%, but clearly, big blow if the order gets cancelled for Electra with respect to the Maharashtra government.
Surely, I think we'll be waiting for an official comment from the company as well. But the stock, if you look at the stock performance,
Hmm.
it has been under pressure on a YTD basis,
True.
6 month basis. Last 1 month, it had started to see some green ticks
Hmm. Hmm.
because the monthly return is positive. But today, after today's move, we'll have to check with the technical analyst if the breakdown will continue here
True.
on not or not. But from the bus company, let's talk about RateGain, AI
Hmm.
powered SaaS platform that provides services to hospitality and travel sector. The stock was doing fairly well yesterday because it had met its FY25 guidance, although weak sales, was a pain point. But yesterday it did well. But today, once again, the stock is down somewhere around 9% as the FY26 guidance has disappointed. Now, on a sequential basis, the margins improved, a good 120 basis points, and FY25 guidance was also met. But in terms of FY26 guidance, look at the revenue growth. That guidance is at 6 to 8% on a YY basis. It's a sharp slowdown from the 12.5% growth that the company saw in FY25. Same goes for the margin guidance as well. It is in the range of 15 to 17%, but the company had delivered 21%, over 21% margin in FY25. But and the interesting point is, if this FY26 guidance comes true, it will be the weakest growth year for the company since its listing back in 2021. Uh, Now, the decline that the company has said that it would see in margin and revenue would be on account of aggressive spending on expanding its sales and marketing efforts, particularly in the APAC as well as Middle East regions. These investments actually may not yield immediate results in terms of boosting revenue growth, but they are aimed at long term growth going forward. But the company has already been navigating challenges, marked by pricing pressure, specifically in the distribution segment, because that is facing revenue challenges, because a large online travel agency sub brand that used to bring in revenue is being phased out.
Hmm.
So that income is going away for the company, and there is pricing pressure in current partnerships as well, meaning that they have to charge much less or accept lower
True.
margins to retain those existing clients. This means that the future growth is going to come from the data as a service segment, and it is also going to come from the marketing technology segment. Looking at the numbers and the guidance, we have some brokerage reactions as well. Kotak has revised its target downwards from 630 to 540, calling that the fair value, but it still implies a 13% kind of upside from yesterday's close price. It has pointed out that the company needs to reduce its dependence on mature products and look at scaling up products that are, that needs to be scaled up, that has the potential to be scaled up, and that would be a gradual process. So in the near term, the company has to navigate headwinds, and they are seeing limited upside from current levels, which is why they have scaled down their revenue and margin estimates, and they've also scaled down the EPS estimate by 11 to 18%. Aside of that, brokerage firm Phillip Capital has downgraded the stock to neutral, and they've mentioned that there could be some mergers and acquisitions on the anvil for the company as they are looking out
Hmm.
actively, but they're also looking at acquiring or doing any kind of deal at fair valuation. So in the near term, things are looking pretty shaky for rate gain. Let's see how things really pan out. If those aggressive investments in the markets that I mentioned, if they yield results over the long term, it could be good. But for the near term, things are looking pretty rocky.
True. And as you mentioned, the guidance was
Hmm.
something which was quite disappointing, especially in the operating margins front, which they expect to remain under pressure.
Sure. Well, with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Closing Bell. Remember, we didn't have cues from US markets in the morning, but tonight, once again, US markets will open. US futures were doing well. So, even though global markets, even if they outperform, we'll have to see
Hmm.
how we
Hmm.
behave,
Hmm.
because today was a fairly volatile day. Let's see what happens tomorrow, especially since we have expiry on Thursday, monthly expiry on Thursday. So, crucial week. But with that, it's a goodbye from us. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Stay tuned to Money Control for all your other news and updates.